Now, I am Roger Armstrong, and I was a psychic child born in 1930. And these are my stories as a psychic soldier. When I left Fort Meade, Maryland, and went home on leave, I reported then to an anti-aircraft outfit, and I worked with them about a month and a half to 2 months, and I got my orders to go to Korea. As I got off the boat in Korea, they put a 1 on my helmet, saying, then you're going to the 1st Cavalry Unit. So I became an infantryman again, assigned to the 1st Cav. I ended up in a mortar outfit, a heavy mortar outfit. Now, a mortar is just a tube of steel, and you drop a shell down into it, and it shoots off on a very high trajectory, so it can hit behind hills. And I became assigned to number 2 tube, as we called them. Now, my guardians were with me the whole time. And when they gave me an urgent suggestion, I followed it without question. I was standing behind a hill we call Bloody Ridge in Chow Line. And my guardian said to me, take 2 steps back now. And I did, pushing the guys behind me. And they started to complain, and then a friendly fire artillery shell exploded overhead. And my mess kit was pinned to the ground with a huge piece of shrapnel. You bet. Anytime the guardian said do something, I did it. I did it. Now, in working with the tubes, I knew I was going to be a forward observer and be up on the front line, because I was told that, but they felt that I should work with the tubes for a while first so I can get an understanding and meet the guys, and they get to know me and all that kind of stuff. So we're working away, cleaning the mortar and that kind of thing, and the guardian says to me, Roger, how far will this thing shoot? I said, I don't know. And so I said, hey guys, how far will this thing shoot? And they said, I don't know. And I said, well, if I'm going to be the FO, I'm going to want to know what my extreme range is. So they said, okay. And so we set up extra sandbags, and at the bottom of the shell there was a tube that was the igniter, and you put little explosive squares on that, like pieces of cheese with a hole in the center, and you'd stack that up. So we stacked it up as full as we could, and then we cut pieces up and we put it in between all the slices. And we dropped the shell and ducked down because we didn't know if it was going to explode or not. And the shell took off, and we ran to the top of the hill to see where it was going to explode. Now, the guardian and I had fussed with the angle, and we had fussed with the position of the tube. So we're up the top of the hill. About 4 to 5 minutes later, on the hill on the other side of the valley, a huge explosion took place, and a fireball went up into the air. We had hit a Chinese ammo dump. So we ran down the hill and said, let's do it again, let's do it again. And the guardian and I fussed with the azimuth, keeping the angle the same, and we shot off another shell. No big explosion this time, but we did hear that we hit their headquarters. But no casualties, because they were all out watching the ammo dump explode. Now then they put me up in my forward observation post, and I was with the Thai soldiers. These were soldiers from Thailand. Now, the Korean War was a UN-sponsored thing. So I was assigned to the Thais. Off to my left were the Welsh and the Canadian contingents, and to my right were the Greeks and the Turks. Now, the Thais called me Roger, and they were convinced that I was attached to Buddha. And they said, "You, Buddha, have a yes." And to increase my ties with Buddha, they gave me bits that they wore around their neck, like I had a piece of tiger skin that had prayers written on it. And I had different Buddhas of different sizes and kinds. Now, one evening, as we're sitting up on the hill, I'm looking out at the valley, and I said to myself, how can I arrange this fire ground that I'm assigned to? And I had a brainstorm that I should grid the whole valley. So I called my friend Sergeant Junko back at the mortar company, and I said, "Junko, can we grid the valley?" He said, "You want to?" And I said, "Sure. That way, if I need a fire point, I can call B-25 and you can give it to me." He said, "I like the idea." I said, "Can we do some triangulation on it to make sure that our fire points are accurate?" He said, "You mean survey it?" I said, "Sure." He said, "But you don't do that with mortars." He said, "They aren't accurate enough." I said, "Well, let's do it and find out." So we did it. And we found that with a base and the mortar set properly, we could hit within 10 feet diameter circle of our surveyed point. So we grid the whole valley. And we made the grid smaller on the backs of hills, because that's where the enemy is more likely to be. We no sooner, or no, we got the whole valley set up with our grid system, when that night a flying saucer appeared and hovered in the valley.